Mortal Kombat has always been, and always will be. For millennia, the forces of good and evil have been locked in eternal battle over the control of Earthrealm. Some seek to use the tournament to destroy all that is good. Others seek vengeance, power, or eternal life. Time after time, each individual threat has been vanquished, and Earthrealm has enjoyed relative peace for many years. But there is concern that Earth is once again in peril, and this time, the threat of evil has two faces. It is now known that the sorcerer Quan Chi has escaped from the Netherrealm. Since his escape, Quan Chi has unlocked the secret of the ancient runestone, discovered the ancient undefeatable army of the long-forgotten Dragon King, and most disturbing of all, formed an alliance with one of our deadliest enemies, Shang Tsung. With their combined strength, they plotted to overpower the only two beings who could prevent their total domination of the two realms. The first was the Emperor of Outworld, Shao Kahn. In a false show of allegiance to Shao Kahn, they sprung their attack. They then traveled to Earthrealm by way of a magical portal known only to sorcerers and deities. There, they confronted Earth's mightiest warrior and champion of Mortal Kombat, Liu Kang. It has been Shang Tsung's greatest desire to consume the soul of Earthrealm's greatest warrior. With Quan Chi's assistance, he achieved this goal. Liu Kang is dead. They have since returned to Outworld and are using the souls of conquered warriors to resurrect the Dragon King's undefeatable army. Should they succeed, they will have the means to conquer Outworld, and eventually Earthrealm. They will be unstoppable. I can no longer stand idly by and watch this evil consume the world. I have relinquished my status as Elder God to return to Earth and lead you all to battle against our old adversaries. We must act now. We must stop this deadly alliance. Look at that! The main story of Deadly Alliance told in about 4 times the speed of the console version. Welcome to Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance for the Game Boy Advance. Just gonna get right into it. So obviously, not as many characters as the console version. At least 7 with half the roster locked behind the crypt, but we're not gonna need them. Lost. The Deadly Alliance Game Boy Advance is a unique beast. What do you do when you have to take a 3D fighting game and adapt it to the Game Boy Advance? For the record, double ice backfire is still a thing. Combos are still in this game, but they're dialed down. You can still style change. You can still style change, and it has the moves appropriately. The only thing that's missing is a weapon stance, but it's not forgotten. The weapon stances are on particular move inputs. And as for the game itself, yeah. Depending on the character, I promise I will try not to do that every round. But depending on the character, there are some real nasty and unforgivable loops in this game. So, 3D movement is preserved. You can sidestep to your heart's content. When you look at this, it is a bit of a blown up picture. It looks ugly, because you're using sprites based off of 3D models. And they are crunched up and digitized to crap. Ooh, that's weird. But yeah, you're taking 3D models, making sprites out of them, digitizing them to crap. Naturally, the end result isn't going to be the most pleasing. There you go. A little bit of weapon stance you got there. So there is no end to these 3D sections. It's not like you can like, wring them out and fall off. Alright.
Frost wins. Fatality.
Yes, fatalities are in this game, and much like the console version, it's one per character. They're also a lot easier to pull off. All I had to do was press down, down, 2. I am going to be using 1 and 2 notations. There are throws in this game. So yeah, normally all the Deadly Alliance fixins.
Frost wins.
All the Deadly Alliance fixins are here. For converting this from a system with 4 buttons to a game that really only requires 2, a block, and a stance change, the conversion's not that bad. Yeah, that slide's got some funky stuff behind it. Alright, I have to make him pay for it. I mean, you do have strings. Some of them won't necessarily combo into each other, but you know, it's the thought that counts. Who needs dial-up combos to actually combo into each other?
Excellent. Round 1. Fight.
There, you get a... do anything, princess? There you go. 1 jump. Like, it's mostly buggy around if the opponent jumps over you or not. Like, you'll spend some time punching the air, but that is the way of things. Sorry, Katana, gotta make you pay.
Frost wins. Round 2. Fight.
I'll admit, in some cases, the directional input's not the most responsive thing in the world. But you have to treat them less like rotational inputs and more of a command while considering directional inputs buttons. Sort of Mortal Kombat's thing. I said I wasn't going to use it every round. But it's too funny not to.
Frost wins. Fatality.
Supposedly, Deadly Alliance Game Boy Advance started a trend. Because beforehand, the Mortal Kombat ports you received on Game Boy were not necessarily the best. And they came off one of the most reviled Mortal Kombat releases, which, considering the past couple of years prior to Deadly Alliance, is saying a lot. I mean, Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3 did not survive the Game Boy conversion. The less said about Mortal Kombat 4, the better. And then there was the game that released a year prior to this, Mortal Kombat Advance. Which, ooh boy, that is a stinker and a half. I tried to boot that up the other day, and oh, it's just as bad as you've heard. It plays like one of those Newgrounds Flash games using Mortal Kombat assets. It plays like that, where it looks like Mortal Kombat, it sounds like Mortal Kombat, but oh man, it don't feel like it. Yeah, it just does some weird stuff, like it backs off some 30 yards. Sorry, Kato. Like, there are some cases where they can hit the ground and be able to block, but it's not that often.
Frost wins.
The timing gets a little tighter with every loop, as you expect.
Round 1. Fight.
Yeah, that is 1-1 up 2. Doesn't really combo into each other, or at least the follow-up doesn't. Ah!
Wins.
Really stinging it when it matters.
Round 2. Fight.
Alright, switching back to much faster stance for this. Don't let me catch you jumping.
Frost wins.
You know, I did mention throws are in the game. Try to just walk up and throw them, but it's not the most reliable thing. They can sidestep your throw, for example, I think he's baiting me into it.
Finish her. Wins.
Not really the most reliable finisher. Not what I would have gone with. Alright, sticking to Frost.
Round one. Fight. Frost wins.
Alright.
Round
A little bit of solitude just to get it done. So, I definitely remember owning this version of Deadly Alliance. At the time, the Game Boy Advance was not backlit, so being able to tell where you are, what you're doing, what your opponent's doing, you kind of have to depend on sound to get it done.
Frost wins. Fatality.
And really listening to the same grunts and yells over and over can get to be a bit of an ear piercer. I think I lost it.
You chose unwisely.
No, red screen.
Round one. Fight.
Yep, directly in their face. They're doing a move. You basically have to catch them doing nothing. If they're pressing buttons, they are throwing invulnerable. I do not remember Lee May that much.
Frost wins. Round two. Fight.
I don't really like her Yuan Yang dance. The moves are kind of slow. But considering this game is kind of in your face more often, yeah, you can see how much it's getting stuffed. Okay. Yeah, I deserve that.
May wins.
I like how the combo did 0 damage.
Round
As if you were already dead before it even started. Had to catch him.
Finish her. Frost wins. Round 1. Fight.
The game still technically considers it a combo. I don't consider this combo. It's more, hey, consecutive hits, 27 damage. And Sonia's kiss is a little hard to see when it's pixelated.
Round 2.
I just block out of instinct. There are a few details about this game that I haven't been noticing, but haven't really pointed out. The fact that the blood sticks around. Little tiny spurts of blood. It sticks around, even on a 3D plane. A piece like that is kind of impressive.
Finish her. Frost wins. Fatality.
And so that brings us to the Deadly Alliance.
Round 1. Fight.
Yeah, I prefer to try to stay away from Quan Chi if I can. Mostly because of this. His weapon stance attacks are not exactly the most reserved. Sorry, Sorcerer, I had to give it to you.
Finish him. Frost wins. Fatality. Round 2.
And yeah, it's 1 round per member. You fight one, and you're immediately fighting the other. Which is usually Shang Tsung at the end. And your life bar carries over. So that's fun.
Finish her. Shang Tsung wins. Frost. Round 1. Fight.
So what you're essentially doing is an endurance match.
Finish him. Frost wins. Fatality. Round 2.
So Shang Tsung himself is thankfully done with this whole transformation thing. Morphing into other fighters. Combatants, if you will. That means he's essentially doubled his sorcery. Sorry.
Finish him.
No time for both of you.
Frost wins. Fatality.
So as you can see, endings pretty intact from the console version to the Game Boy Advance. It was a nice effort to try to bring this to Game Boy Advance. Excellent. What essentially happened was, after the string of bad Game Boy ports, Deadly Alliance port was supervised by people in Midway to make sure it was the best it could possibly be considering the hardware. Despite some shaky and dodgy physics in general, I think they did a pretty decent job trying to convert this game. It's not necessarily the most pleasing visuals for a Game Boy Advance fighter, but again, considering what the original was, trying to emulate it on Game Boy Advance is an admirable attempt, rather than just taking a traditional 2D fighter and calling it a day. There was a sequel released to this game called Tournament Edition. It did mix up the character roster, but it's mostly just this. It's mostly just this engine with, like, character swapping. Like, I could play it in the future, but really, I played this version of Deadly Alliance. You've basically seen Tournament Edition by proxy, but let me know.
Be made.